What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, Super CBTV. It's your girl AP here. I have some really creepy, crazy videos for us this week. TikTok's been wild. We gotta jump on in. Let's go.
I shouldn't go to the woods alone. A woman in Connecticut was walking by the woods one afternoon when she begins to feel like something's watching her. Now, as she begins to record a creepy shack along her path, whatever was following her shows itself to her. Didn't notice what looks like this dark figure can be seen hiding by the shack, kneeling down. But as she pans the camera towards it again, it's seen staring directly at her. The woman was able to leave the woods, unknowing she was being followed home by this thing. By the recency of her posts, she seems to be safe. Skinwalker or not, I'll let you decide.
If I saw that in the woods, I'd morph into a cheetah.
Hi. Oh my god, Tiana, go! Go! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Tiana! It's okay, honey. Tiana! Tiana! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I think that might have just been a homeless person.
On March 19th, 2005, the luxury catamaran The Matrix was sailing off the coast of Western Australia. This was a 13-day cruise for tourists. The vessel had 13 tourists aboard, plus crew members. And at 2 p.m. on that day, they had anchored off the Albaros Islands to do some snorkeling. Initially, 3 people got in the water, one of whom was the skipper of the vessel, a 26-year-old named Jeffrey Brazier, his buddy Rod Plug, who also worked on the ship, and then another tourist. The rest of everybody else was just on the deck, drinking and laughing and looking down in the water at the 3 who were snorkeling. Well, they're snorkeling right over the edge of this drop-off, so it's a shallow reef that goes to a drop-off into deeper water, and they're snorkeling right there because these areas attract a lot of fish, a lot of wildlife, just cool stuff to look at. Rod, he's down in the water and he's looking around when his mask starts to malfunction and it's leaking and he needs to go back on the boat to fix it. So he turns to look at Jeffrey to tell him that he's going to go back on the boat, but Jeffrey's having a good time. He's got his face down in the water, so Rod doesn't think anything of it. He just turns around and swims back towards the boat. Well, as soon as he starts swimming back towards the boat, the people on the deck can see coming out of the deep water, out of the drop-off area, this huge torpedo-like shape just looks totally black, and it's rocketing straight towards Jeffrey. But they don't have any time to scream or warn him or anything before it hits Jeffrey. And when it does, Rod, who's still in the water only feet away, hears this explosion of water behind him. He turns around to see a 6-meter long or nearly 20-foot long great white shark. And it's got Jeffrey in its mouth on the surface. It bites down and shakes and rips Jeffrey completely in half. Jeffrey doesn't even have time to scream. He's killed instantly. So Rod, he gets back on the boat as quick as he can, along with the other tourists, and everybody who's just paid all this money to go on this wonderful vacation is suddenly living a nightmare because the water is completely saturated with blood, and there's half of Jeffrey's body still just floating on the surface, where just moments ago he was just having a great time. Well, just a few minutes later, this shark comes back without the half of his body that it took already. It comes up and just eerily, silently, it's just its head and its dorsal fin, which is over 1 meter long, so longer than any of our arms, comes up to the surface and just grabs the other half of his body, goes down underneath the water, and disappears. So obviously, the people on the catamaran, the crew, they contact authorities. Authorities come out, they search for any remains of Jeffrey, they don't find any, and they search for the shark. And their plan is if they find the shark, they're going to kill the shark, and they're going to try and recover some of Jeffrey's remains from the shark. But they never do find the shark, they never would recover any of Jeffrey's remains whatsoever.
I'm still taking a shark over a chimp. Press E, collect it.
I don't know if you're ready to hear this, but your favorite celebrity is friends with the witch. Oh man, it all makes sense with the rumors that are being put out by Usher.
Pay attention,
Do you
people.
know who that is? We'll get to who she is here in a second, but just wait. Oh, it's definitely starting to make sense. As you can see, this is A$AP Rocky right here, right? It's definitely starting to make sense. As you can see, that's the Migos right there. I think we're missing one of those members, right?
Everybody's friends with her.
This is Mrs. Michelle Lamy, and I'm sure this
Weird.
picture right here tells 1,000 words in itself, right? If you don't know about the controversy behind Usher or why I'm showing you this lady, I'll fill you in. There was a photo of Usher that was released just recently. And in that photo, you can clearly see that it looked nothing like Usher to even begin with. I'm sure everybody's up to date about the cloning process that's rumored to happen in the industry, right? I know it sounds crazy, right? I'm sure we all sound like conspiracy theorists, I get it. But why do you think they made a show called Who Cloned Tyrone? People really need to start thinking outside
Good
the
movie,
box.
by the way.
This is A$AP Rocky's wife, Rihanna. If this photo in itself doesn't tell you that there's some weird shit going on, I really don't know what will. But this lady right here has a lot of controversy behind her name. And as you can see, Michelle Lamy is a French culture and fashion figure. She's been a clothing designer, a performer, film producer, and more, and is the wife of none other than Rick Owens. Does anybody know who Rick Owens is? Because God, once you dig a little deep, you can't stop digging. And then you start to find things that you really thought you would never find in the first place. Things that you actually can't present openly here on TikTok anymore, and reasons of why I actually started a Twitter profile. Do look for my link in the bio. But the fact that
Very
Usher is
weird.
heavily associated with this woman
Thanks
just
for
tells me
watching.
everything I need to.
That black stuff on her fingertips is a tattoo, and it's a common dark magic thing.
God, somebody call 911. Oh my God.
I'm gonna call 911.
What the?
Oh my god!
Call.
Holy
Call.
shit!
Oh my God.
We're staying at Seacrest.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
The ocean's getting hot, and when you get hot, you get agitated.
Well, you don't know me, but I know you. Hello? This is your mother. Are you there?
If I was her, I would never be able to sit with my back facing that direction ever again.
The crime scene photos from Michael Jackson's bedroom have resurfaced again. Somebody posted them. So let's go through them, shall we? This was his nightstand. And all of the... I'm assuming that all of these are his kids. But what about this one? What's that sweet baby thing? And this one, too. I'm interested. I'm trying to figure out what that photo is, too. But this whole thing is eerie. This was on the bed next to him. And it just really gives me the absolute creeps, this doll laying next to him on the bed. This would all appear very normal, except for this knife. What is a knife like that? Like a whole ass butcher knife doing on his bedside table. Like, the room is just also covered in medical supplies for obvious reasons. This note gives me the creeps. Discipline with love. No violence ever. Okay? And then this is what the room looked like. Like, look, just absolute filth everywhere. And then like one of those like collapsible toy things. And I think this is the one that just like sends me into outer space. Like, look at this like layout of all of these different costumes. It's hard to tell where this was in his room. Maybe it was just in the closet, but the way that this like image makes it look is it's like out in the open. I don't know why the hardest thing for me to get over is this knife on that nightstand. I don't know. Had you guys seen these before? I hadn't actually seen pictures of his bedroom.
I don't think the knife's weird. He could have just been opening packages or something, but doesn't he have like 20 maids?
Astagfirullahaladzim. Nek sapa kuwi nang kene? Aja ganggu ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Saya ngecium bau nggak enak teman-teman di sini. Astagfirullahaladzim ya Allah. Astagfirullahaladzim ya Allah. Alto matamu.
R.I.P.
The reporter who recorded that video, Kim Dong-chul, was arrested in North Korea after that thing went viral, and he was sentenced to 10 years of hard labor for espionage. And the girl in the video was allegedly found dead a few weeks afterwards, around October 20th, 2010. So Kim was the reporter who actually filmed that interaction on a hidden camera. Obviously, videos from inside North Korea are completely censored. There's almost nothing that shows us the reality of life inside the dictatorship. But this soot-covered woman told Kim that she was working in the fields trying to gather grass to feed rabbits. She also discussed with the reporter that she had lost her home recently, and that she had also lost both of her parents and was living on the streets. She also went on to describe the horrific conditions inside of her home country. And this was shocking for the world to see because everybody knew that this is what was happening in North Korea, but I don't think up until this point people had visually seen what was happening. Somehow Kim managed to sneak the footage out of North Korea, but like I said, he was eventually arrested and sentenced to 10 years of hard labor, in part because of this video. And this was widely published across the internet. I'm actually going to play the rest of it for you now. It's really hard to watch stuff.
That video was originally filmed 14 years ago. Can you imagine what it's like now?
They noticed someone broke into their house last night when they see this. A woman by the name Valerie uploaded a horrifying footage captured by a neighbor's home surveillance cameras after something scary broke into their house in the middle of the night. Through the cameras, they see this. Just beside their house, a strange lanky-limbed creature can be seen bursting out from their yard. After finding out this thing was inside their home, the family sent the video to all neighbors with a message warning them of this strange creature roaming the area. Some viewers believe this could simply be a prank, but given its appearance and the fact that it purposely broke into someone's house, makes this footage more unsettling. Hoax or cryptic, I'll let you decide.
With no clothes on, that's wild.
Feel it coming in the air. Hear the screams from everywhere. I'm addicted to the thrill. I'm ready. It's a dangerous love affair. Can't be scared when it goes down. Got a problem? Tell me now. Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight.
After that, I'm riding that jet ski all the way until I hit shore. Not necessarily my definition of a sketchy neighborhood, but hey.
The house behind me is probably one of the most haunted houses that I have ever come across. And in case you're in the market for such a haunted house, this house is still currently up for rent because no family has been able to last here for longer than a week. This all started as a Facebook post. For privacy reasons, I did kind of cover her up. We're going to call her Christy. So Christy made a post pretty much warning everyone against this home, not to go anywhere near it because it was extremely haunted. You guys can pause to read. I'll try to move a little bit, but she does say that after about a week of living there, weird things started to happen. When she brought it up to her landlord told her to just move. He then threatened to take her to court for breaking her lease and within 3 days changed the locks. I truly believe that the landlord does know that the house is extremely haunted and knows that most people won't last there for longer than a week, so he's just pocketing all this money and keeps a deposit, keeps the first month's rent. I mean, Christy is out about $1,800. After a couple of days of that post being up, Christy does come back with an update and lets everyone know exactly what happened in the house. She states that she rented the house at the end of May, and the first couple of days things were a little weird but nothing too out of the ordinary. It wasn't until the 6th day when this thing showed itself to her. She said she came home one night right after work. She opened the door. The minute she opened the door, she saw this tall, dark, lanky thing running across her floor. She said it had long nails because it even scratched the floor when it ran away. She was standing there for a few minutes, completely terrified, frozen with fear, when she finally snapped out of it and ran back to her car. She then decided to call one of her co-workers who had just gotten out of work around the same time she had, so he could come and check out the house. When her co-worker showed up, he did a complete walkthrough of the house and found absolutely nothing wrong with it. So she decided that maybe she was just seeing things and went back into the house. But still, what she saw still remained in the back of her mind, and she couldn't fall asleep. She had the lights on. She was texting her mom. Just as she was trying to calm herself down, her TV just turned on by itself. She looks over and sees that the remote is right next to her. So she's trying to understand how the TV just turned on by itself. And then she looks over again and the TV turns off. At which point she decides to get up and it's time to go to her mom's. As she's making her way back to her car, she's letting her mom know that, hey, I'm coming over, things are crazy, like I'm done. Her mom tells her to just sit tight, that she's gonna be right over and they're gonna figure this out together. Once her mom gets there, Christy begins to explain to her what just happened, but her mom just kind of stops her mid-sentence and starts to walk in the direction of where the crawly thing ran towards. Christy decides to go back into her bedroom while her mom walks around the house, just checking everything out, when out of nowhere, something pulls her hair and she becomes frozen, like she can't move. Christy begins to try to yell for her mom, but none of the words are coming out, like she's completely like just taken over by this thing. Just then, she hears her mom yell out, "Leave this house alone and everyone in it." It finally let go of Christy's hair and Christy was able to kind of snap out of being in this frozen state. Christy told her mom about what just happened and they decided to just leave for the night. So after they leave for the night, they decided to come back the next day at about 12 p.m. They come with sage, they come with holy water. They're determined to get whatever this thing is out of the house. The minute they walk in and they're spraying holy water, they automatically feel goosebumps, but they try to ignore it. Then Christy's mom feels when something grabs her leg, but she continues to pray and continues to ignore it. Then Christy hears when something whispers in her ear. They both end up leaving after that. Christy does return to the home thinking that she can now do it on her own. Being that the house had been blessed, she felt like she was safer. But the minute she pulled into her driveway, she instantly began to feel sick to her stomach and the left side of her face became extremely hot. She decides to pull right out of the driveway and go to her friend's house. Once she gets to her friend's house, she becomes even more sick. Her stomach is hurting, she has a huge headache, and as she's telling her friend about everything going on in the house, her friend also becomes sick and she also starts to get a headache. It wasn't until Christy left her friend's house that her friend started to feel better, which means that this home had already affected Christy and she was now carrying around all of its negative energy. It is now nighttime and Christy decides that she needs to at least try again and it's time for her to go back to the house. The minute she goes back to the house, she pulls into the driveway and she instantly becomes sick again. She ends up calling her mom, who then tells her to just wait for her outside, that she will be right over. At about 10 p.m., her mom does make it to the house, but she did not come alone this time. She had her cousin's boyfriend, her friend's boyfriend, none of which had any knowledge of what was going on in the house. Christy's mom wanted to know if anyone else felt what they felt when they went into the house. And before her cousin's boyfriend could even make his way into the house, his face automatically got hot. Everyone started to mention how heavy it felt in there, how their chest felt extremely tight. Christy decides to just run in and grab as many clothes as she can and make her way out, but without even realizing it, her and her other friend just burst out in tears, like uncontrollable tears. Christy had to walk out of the house just to calm herself down. Sunday night came around and Christy wanted absolutely nothing to do with the house. Her kids were actually getting ready to come back from being at their dad's house, so Christy definitely did not want her kids in there, so they decided to stay in a hotel. Christy's mom really started to notice a huge change in Christy's personality. Like, she wasn't this upbeat person anymore. She was always very sad and depressed, and she just wasn't being herself. So her mom decided to do an egg cleanse. The first time she tried to grab the egg to cleanse Christy, the egg literally flew out of her hands. Monday night, Christy is now getting panic attacks, like uncontrollable panic attacks. So she decides to spend the night at her sister's. So bad that on Tuesday morning, she ended up having to call out of work. That's when she reached out to her landlord to explain about everything that was going on, and he pretty much told her to get out. He then lets her know that he's changing the locks, so Christy decides to go to the house to get her things out. When she gets to the house, the front door is wide open, and the whole living room is covered in moths. This whole experience has taken a huge toll on Christy's life. She now suffers from panic attacks. Like, the panic attacks never went away. She used to enjoy scary movies, but now she wants absolutely nothing to do with them. She now sleeps with the lights on. Like, every little noise, any little thing terrifies her. Like, this thing really traumatized her. Then one day, Christy's 6-year-old son told her that whenever his dad would drop him off at the house, he would force himself to go to sleep because he didn't want to see the ghost anymore because the ghost would always come and bother him at night.
That landlord definitely knows something's going on in that house. People who have rented there before are also sharing their experiences, so it's pretty haunted.
I don't know. After seeing that guy who took the Pokemon card and like resined it in the bottom of a hollow tree stump in the middle of the woods nowhere and then said, "This is how a new religion starts in 100 years." I don't know. This looks like kids' drawings. Is this real?
I don't know about that one. What do you guys think?
Oh, so you thought it was sweet in these waters, huh? Don't you ever catch me in these waters again, boy, or I'm going for the jugular and them cheeks.
I bet that stung a bit.
Are you wearing a dress? That camera can see straight up that.
Baby, Walmart want to see Big Moose. That's what I'm telling you. Good discretion is advised, son. But that's all I'm saying. Look at your own will.
Not Big Moose. And with that, we are out, you guys. Don't forget to give me a like and a sub on your way out. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And of course, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Subscribe to my channel.